Borrowed time, love beyond form. This is a story about a mysterious clockmaker who arrives in a seaside town where everyone seems to measure life by how much time remains. A grieving woman discovers that while clocks can measure hours, they cannot measure love, because what is real cannot be threatened by time or death. In the seaside town of Marisol, nearly every home had a clock facing the ocean. Fishermen watched the hour before sailing. Shopkeepers watched the hour before closing. Families watched birthdays come and go. And Clara watched the clock because she missed her husband. Daniel had died 2 years earlier. Since then, every ticking second seemed to remind her of what had ended. 27 years together, 9,855 mornings, thousands of meals, thousands of conversations, one final goodbye. Clara sometimes wondered whether love became smaller once the person you loved was no longer there to receive it. Then, one autumn morning, a stranger opened a clock shop beside the harbor. His name was Elias. The sign above his door read, "Borrowed Time." Inside were hundreds of clocks, tall clocks, tiny clocks, clocks shaped like moons, ships, birds, and stars. But none showed the correct time. Clara entered. "Your clocks are all wrong," she said. Elias smiled. "Wrong for what?" "For telling time." "Perhaps they are telling something else." Clara nearly left. Then she noticed a beautiful silver clock whose hands had stopped at 6:17. Daniel had died at 6:17. Her breath caught. "How much is that one?" "It isn't for sale." "Why?" "Because you already own enough clocks." Clara stiffened. "You don't know me." "No," Elias said, "but I recognize someone trying to hold time still." She looked away. "I would give anything for one more day." One more day would become one more hour, and I would take it. One more hour would become one more minute. Yes, and when the minute ended, Clara's eyes filled. I would want another. Elias nodded gently. That is the difficulty with asking time to protect love. Clara stared at the frozen clock. What else is there? Elias handed her a small empty hourglass. No sand inside. What good is this? Take it home. For what? To notice what it cannot measure. That evening, Clara placed the hourglass on the kitchen table. She remembered Daniel laughing while burning pancakes. The glass measured nothing. She remembered dancing barefoot with him during a thunderstorm. Still nothing. She remembered holding his hand in the hospital. Nothing moved. For the first time, Clara noticed that the memories were not painful only because Daniel was gone. They hurt because she kept comparing what was present with what time had taken. The next morning she returned. "The hourglass is broken." "Excellent. It measures nothing." "Exactly." Clara frowned. Elias pointed toward the harbor. "What does the ocean weigh?" "I don't know." "How long does a sunset last?" "A few minutes." "Then why can a few minutes remain beautiful for 50 years? Clara became quiet. "You believe love is measured by duration," Elias said. 27 years feels greater than 27 days. But does the clock know anything about love? "No." "Does the body?" Clara looked at him. "The body can hold someone." "Yes." "It can speak." "Yes." "It can disappear." "Yes." Her voice trembled. "Then what remains?" Elias placed his hand over his heart. "Not here," he said. Then he touched his forehead. "Not here either." He opened his hand toward the ocean. "Love is not trapped in the form through which you recognized it." Clara shook her head. "That sounds beautiful, but I still miss him." "Missing him is not a failure." "Then I should let go?" "Let go of what?" "Daniel." Elias smiled. "Perhaps you are being asked to let go of the belief that losing the body means losing the love." Clara began to cry. For 2 years she had treated grief like evidence. If she hurt, Daniel must be gone. If she missed him, love must have been taken. If time kept moving, something precious must be slipping farther away. But what if grief did not prove love had died? What if it only revealed how deeply she had confused love with form? Weeks passed. Clara kept visiting the clock shop. Elias never told her to stop grieving. He never told her death was unimportant. Instead, he asked her to notice where fear entered. How much time do I have? How do I stop loss? How do I keep what I love? One afternoon, Clara finally laughed. "The questions all assume love can be taken." Elias nodded. "And if that assumption is mistaken?" She looked toward the sea. "Then time cannot really threaten it." That winter, Clara began living differently. She visited old friends. She sang again. She planted Daniel's favorite flowers without needing them to preserve him. When memories came, she welcomed them. When sadness came, she welcomed that too. She stopped treating sorrow as proof that something eternal had ended. In spring, Clara went to thank Elias. The shop was empty. Only the silver clock remained. Its hands no longer showed 6:17. They had disappeared completely. Beside it was a note. Time can measure a body's journey. It cannot measure love. Clara carried the clock home and placed it beside Daniel's photograph. Years later, people often asked why she kept a clock with no hands. She would smile. It reminds me that time is useful for trains, tides, and dinner. And love? Clara would look toward the ocean. Love belongs to something clocks cannot reach. She still missed Daniel sometimes, but she no longer believed absence meant annihilation. The body had been a beautiful form through which love appeared. It had never been the source of love. And Clara finally understood that letting go was not losing what mattered. It was releasing the fear that what mattered could ever truly be lost. May we sing, rest, and dance our way home together.